Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Diana Zanis, and in this episode, I'm going to be talking about Aquarius in the fourth house. And just as a quick reminder before I start, if you like my content, please feel free to subscribe and like, and I'm also on Patreon if you would like to think about supporting my work. Okay, so on to Aquarius on the cusp of the fourth astrological house. So, about the home and the natives' domestic life. So, because Aquarius is unconventional, there may be something very different about their domestic life. So, for example, their friends and family could be in and out of their home on a daily basis. They might have a home that's just full of friends or people they only recently met but found interesting. The decor could be unusual too, so perhaps somewhat ethereal, gothic, or perhaps themed, like ocean themed, or it could be vintage or hyper modern, because Aquarius is also associated with technology. Because the sign is co-ruled by Saturn, which is a planet that's associated with tradition, they could enjoy a traditional family home. So I have a friend with this placement who's a massive history buff, and she adores all things Victorian. She recently renovated her Victorian London house and made it look authentically Victorian, complete with emerald green wallpaper, non-toxic. Beautiful parlor palms and original Victorian furniture. It's absolutely gorgeous and so cozy and warm and inviting inside. But their home could also be brimming with the latest technology as well, from the home office to the garden and anything in between, really. They may even enjoy creating new technology themselves, for example, like computer software. They might enjoy programming, or just creating gadgets or updating gadgets themselves. The friend I mentioned earlier with the Victorian home is a professional app developer, and she works from home. So that's an interesting combination, in my opinion. So with regard to property, another fourth house theme, the property they may own, it could be in an unusual location, or there could be something very unconventional about it, how it looks, how it feels. For example, it could be located on a remote island, or it may be a very old building, or a hyper modern building just built, or it could just have a very magical feel to it, or an ethereal feel to it. In terms of the land they own, if they own any, it could be land that their property exists on, but which is also different from the norm in some way. Perhaps it's in a strange location or a very remote location. In the future, if it becomes possible for humans to purchase plots on the moon or other planets, these people will probably be some of the first to buy such plots of land. So the mother and primary caregiver is also associated with this house. So similarly to those with Capricorn on the cusp of the fourth house, there may have been a degree of emotional and or physical distance between the mother and child, or primary caregiver and child. That could be a grandparent, or it could be a foster parent, or whatever. Their mother could have been an industrious and perhaps even brilliant person, yet perhaps also a little bit eccentric and aloof. Her mind may have been elsewhere much of the time, though she still enjoyed being a parent. She especially liked teaching her child all sorts of things, from practical skills to social skills and everything in between. She just really enjoyed fueling the mind of her offspring. So when it comes to family and heritage, thanks to Uranus, the co-ruler of Aquarius, there may have been an unusual family dynamic, or perhaps unusual heritage. However, being co-ruled by Saturn, the planet associated with tradition, structure, discipline, they may also have been traditional and perhaps even a little bit strict. So it's either or some sort of combination of that. So, with regard to emotional foundations, above all, these people greatly enjoy their autonomy. their independence and their autonomy. A conventional 9 to 5 job, for example, or being tied down by too many responsibilities could make them feel trapped and frustrated. They want to march to the beat of their own drum and nobody else's. Much of the time, they're calm, they're cool, and they're logical, but they may also occasionally they may be unpredictable and perhaps even a little explosive. And it's often hard to pinpoint their triggers. For example, a comment about someone doing or saying something they consider unjust could set them off. I've personally found this to be especially true of those with Libra rising, because Libra is strongly associated with fairness and equality, and they want everything to be just right and fair. They tend to have strong opinions with this placement, and they can find it hard to change their beliefs, however modern or traditional those beliefs are. Though they also try to see things from the perspectives of others at the same time. They wouldn't consider it fair or right to hold their own opinion as the right one, unless there's a lot of fixed energy in the chart, which is Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or more Aquarius. Something I really like about Aquarius, though, is its ability to rationalize its feelings. The air signs can do this typically, while the water signs, that's Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, may struggle in emotional situations. Aquarius has the ability to view situations objectively and prioritize logic over the way they feel. And I think this is very admirable. It's a wonderful skill. It can really come in handy during very difficult times. So, nurturing and caregiving tendencies, I think these people seem to be mainly concerned with the intellectual development of those they love, especially their children. Being very clever and educated, those two things are very important for them as adults. This is understandable because it could mean the difference between financial struggle or prosperity. As long as their independence isn't being too heavily impacted by their caregiving, they're happy to care for others. They just need to run on their own schedule. So the past and retirement are also fourth house themes. And if we're starting with the past events are often viewed objectively rather than with a tremendous amount of emotion. They might not get, frequently emotional about the past when talking about it with others because it could make them feel a bit uncomfortable, and they're quite private. So talking about their past, especially very difficult events, can feel a little inappropriate for them or just a bit too intrusive. Generally, unless there's a significant amount of Cancer, I would say, in the chart, they don't think too much about the past and past events. I think getting on in the present and thinking about the future feels much lighter and more productive to them. After all, Aquarius is a sign associated with the future and it's forward thinking. And in retirement, while most elderly people may live with their children or in a retirement home, these people, they may have a very unconventional domestic arrangement. So this could be because that's what they feel naturally inclined to do, and that's what makes them happy, or it just happened. So, for example, my ex's grandfather had this placement, and he still lives in a fabulous commune, which he describes as reminiscent of the one he lived in his 20s in the 1970s. He may also just choose to live alone in a home they love. Of course, living alone during your senior years may seem strange to some because some people require assistance, or many elderly people require assistance, but it allows people to keep their independence and do things their own way on their own time, which is what some people prefer. I think personally I would prefer that. But because there's so much more time to dedicate to hobbies and interests during their retirement, they could become involved in some unique and interesting projects. They may even decide to invent a new product or improve one, because Aquarius is a highly innovative, ingenious, occasionally sign. Or perhaps they'll find that they finally have the time and patience needed to get to grips with new technology and software, which is something they may have been itching to do for years. So endings and closure, again, another fourth house theme. People could suddenly vanish from their lives for a variety of reasons. Perhaps they relocated abroad, or maybe they had a falling out, or maybe they died. Closure can be challenging to obtain, of course, under such circumstances, and accepting whatever happened may take some time. Closure could involve staying friends also with people as they prefer amicable endings, which include mutual respect and understanding. And even if they don't particularly like or get on with someone, they'll still want to settle things fairly. Their ability to approach closure with a friendly demeanor contributes to smoother transitions and a positive outlook towards the future. Their endings may be a little bit unorthodox or unsettling in some way, because those are Aquarian themes. They could be irrational, sudden, bizarre, shocking, or funny, again, all associated with Aquarius. Traditional methods may not appeal to them, and they often seek unconventional paths to bring matters to a conclusion. And this could include introducing rather new ideas, alternative perspectives, or novel approaches that challenge the status quo. They're forward-thinking influences, the way they wrap up chapters in their life, always looking for ways to evolve and progress. So that concludes our episode. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.